Hey, what's up? I've changed a few. I've done some off-camera work. I'm saying, so you can see kind of. I finished up my walls here. I think they're good. You can see they've got that obsidian impregnated. This all has a cobble thing to it, so you can ignore that. But you can kind of see around the walls. Can we see like a good long distance shot of all this? I've done some off-camera work. Includes the walls. You can maybe see in the distance a little something over there, something growing, something yellow, blue. You can see a little. You can't see it now. I forgot the term for it, but we'll get there. We'll get there eventually. I'll show it all off. But I want to assume that one more thing, and then we're going to go to the nether. If you saw Picard part 1, you probably thought you know what Star Trek Picard's about, and you're probably generally right. Look at that, new blocks right there. Let's go to the nether. I'm going to show you around. New nether, and I got an ocean monument base. Actually, I do want to show you the upper part of the walls. So look, the walls are done. That's what they look like from the side. Oh, fuck. Skeletons. Click. There we go. Fuck. So it's not supposed, like, okay, all right, if you use it right, it's great pop-up cover, okay, that doesn't obscure your view. This entire defensive system is better than the flurry of arrows buried in that fence would lead you to believe, okay? All right, it's a good thing. It's great. Pop that down. Boom, water comes out. I'm very happy with the walls. So you can see them from this side. Boop, boop. All right. I guess I got that zombie. All right. I'm having serious lag problems here. All right. So yeah, you probably think you have the story of Star Trek Picard figured out. I don't think you're too far wrong, but let's get into it. Let's get into the nitty gritty details. Also, my oblique spoilers are going to become more like bicep spoilers at this point. So fair warning. This is Morning Perfect base. I'm Van Velding. I'm going to work on some Minecraft stuff a little bit at random intervals. After a few random intervals, maybe we'll see what happens. That's my other portal. We'll use that one later. Got these new soul lanterns. I'm not really happy with them. Gepwin has made like a huge corridor of stone bricks that seem well lit exclusively by soul lanterns. And I think he's just cheating. I think he's just hacks. I need to ask him how he does that. But today I am going to show you my wall stuff. I'm going to go around the nether, show you around the nether, show you my new ocean monument. And then I'm going to swing by and try to find that bastion that Dr. Isix found a while back. I'm going to poke around a bastion, hopefully not die. Dr. Isix went there, and within like 2 minutes he died. This is the new nether portal for the Spruce Village. And it hasn't really changed. It's just, oh gosh, I hope he's not angry. He seems to be, I guess that Iron Golem murdered him? That's some good reach on that Iron Golem. But yeah, the village itself is basically the same. I haven't changed anything about it. Just, still here. New entrance. Right, so Star Trek Picard. 1,000 years ago, and yeah, I know, some Romulans, I guess they'd be Vulcans if there were forms of Surak that caused Romulans to leave, dated back to the 4th century. So, some Vulcans found a giant glowing thing in an octernary system that I guess no other spacefaring civilization had seen, because otherwise it would be at the top of every listicle of the 24th century. So, yet somehow it was designed to gain attention. It's an artificially constructed system with 8 stars in a perfect orbit of each other. So it's got one planet, and on the one planet it's got a Prothean beacon from Mass Effect. And no one else has found this thing because I guess everyone is stupid. Regardless, when a biological life forms touch it, it does what Prothean beacons do, and it gives them a vision of galactic destruction caused by synthetic life forms. Now, Ocean Monument. These things, if you don't know, are usually filled with guardians and water. And there's 3 bosses, and I think a big boss you need to kill. I did it all with like some night vision potions and water breathing potions, and it was kind of frustrating because I get lag. Not as bad as the lag I'm getting today, but still pretty bad lag. And I cleaned it out, and they give you sponges, and the sponges collect all the water. You can go outside and you can still see the other guardians that are left. Because, there's just so many of them. There's actually fewer than there were last time I checked. I think some of them may have despawned. But, Right, so I'm just going to walk around, show you inside of here a little bit, look at the little room, see how they're designed. It's pretty cool. I think they're all the same, but I'm going to make a base here eventually, at least not the first. When this is all water, like one leads into the other naturally. So I may turn all of these little holes into like water things where you just, the water goes down, you can get between floors that way, which I think would be kind of great. A little more organic than these stairs I've had to chisel into everything. I'll explain the magma later. So, the beacon was actually made by synthetics, and it was meant for synthetics. And it gives them a way to make a tower that houses a button that will summon the Reapers from Mass Effect to destroy all organic life in the galaxy for oppressing synthetics. And given that the galaxy is filled with thousands of organics which are capable of investigating intriguing stellar phenomena before they're able of making synthetic life, we can only assume that the makers of this beacon were also really, really stupid. Especially when those pre-Serac Vulcans used that synthetic vision of android-linked apocalypse to create a secret cabal dedicated to the destruction of all synthetic life. A cabal which is competent enough to spread across 2 quadrants into every civilized government, despite the fact that their induction ceremony involves touching the beacon, a process which afflicts 80% of their inductees with a fatal case of the Bird Box 2018, and the remainder with lunacy and stock evil, stupid villain's disease. A fatal disease. The entire cabal falls apart because the only way they can recruit an outside asset to avoid synthetics creating the button to summon the Reapers is by mind melding the Prothean beacon experience on to that outside agent, which the synthetics mind meld back out of her, no questions, and use as a blueprint so they can create the button to summon the Reapers. 1,000-year secret cabal is destroyed because Commodore O can't keep her fingers to herself. Or to recruit an agent by making a convincing lie about synthetics being a threat to national security when everyone is already afraid of synthetics. Or, what about this? Plastic surgery, which we do a million times to people who don't even know it, to duplicate a person that no one else in the crew knows personally. And I guess towards the end there, a half-Vulcan, half-Romulan member of the Cabal named O joined Starfleet as a 5th columnist for a foreign power because of her non-native blood, and Jesus, this show is filth. She rises to become a Commodore, and we assume she only recently took this position because otherwise, why wasn't Starfleet Command trying to get Data killed like a lot earlier? Like, I talk shit about this, but a massive anti-synthetic conspiracy actually does explain things in Star Trek. Dr. Soong is cagey for no reason. Ira Graves lives on an isolated outpost. When they find Data's head in a cave, they don't send an email about it. They summon the Enterprise to Earth with a cryptic message. All those robot planets from Kirk's era just vanish, and they're never talked about again. I mean, Romulans and Nemesis come across a Soong-type prototype, which they use as a decoy for, well, Picard, I guess, but instead of instantly destroying it, and then they don't try to specifically kill Data at all. It explains a few things anyway. So, 1,000 years after that stupid glacier begins migrating south, I guess that's supposed to sound like glacier of stupid begins migrating south. Data died in Star Trek Nemesis, and Picard is sad. After Data died, the Hobeus supernova happened, increasing the mean stupidity of the galaxy. Picard tried to save Romulans, and he saved a few of them with Liberty ships and stuff. But then the army of synthetic slaves who run Federation shipyards on Mars murdered everyone on Mars. And no, you did not miss an episode of Voyager. The concept of the army of synthetic slaves is introduced here and never questioned at all. Because of the Mars attacks, the Federation stops evacuating Romulans, and also, I assume from context, sends a stern email to the Romulans they already evacuated to just fuck off, and then they burn the existing Liberty ships in a fire. Admiral Picard tries to stop the Federation from doing these things by threatening to resign, but since no one in Starfleet Command watched Star Trek The Next Generation, they just say, do it, bitch. And Picard straight just gives up, tearing his uniform off as he leaves Starfleet Command, and he tells Raffi, his emotionally unstable genius assistant with a history of substance abuse, that her career's days are probably number 2, and her conspiracy theory about Romulans having done a false flag is probably wrong because It's not like she's a literal genius whose job is to provide intelligence or anything. So I'm just trying to show you guys tonight that I found a wired forest. Weird wood? I don't know what they're called. I'm almost afraid of taking the shot because I don't want to hit a zombie pigman. Anyway, I forgot to mention it while I was scooting around up there on the surface. The reason I put magma in the edges of the monument is that it bubbles up and that will kill the guardians. If I get enough, it'll eventually kill the guardians enough that that monument might be habitable. Who knows? Right. So over the next 15 years, Picard writes some archaeology books. He sulks on his estate. He doesn't call Rafi even once. A series of moves that put him 2 Romulan housekeepers away from fucking BoJack Horseman. The space where the Federation evacuated the Romulans has become a wildlands with no ruling authority except for the Fenris Rangers, who are vigilante types we know only by their name, and that they're vigilante types. And I am unironically down with the Fenris Rangers, as they're just the Maquis, but with a better cause, fewer doomsday weapons, and a lack of overwhelming lust for fucking dirt. When I say that, what I mean is that the Maquis love to fuck dirt. They love to have sex with soil, and they are filled with lust for that end purpose. They just want to breed with the dirt. So, the Romulans, so the Romulans, or some Romulans, or a Romulan maybe, I don't know. They start the excavation of a Borg cube for reasons? I don't know. This series thinks that selling off Borg parts in bloodied plastic bags at a roadside stand is the hot business model of the last years of the 24th century, despite refusing to show what those parts are used for, and despite their sale motivating half of the evil shit we see in this story. This includes a post-Empire Romulan state which can field 200 identical warships, ostensibly bought with the money gained by selling 2,000 ocular implants and a few million black tubes to Hellraiser cosplayers. Okay, so Bruce Maddox from that one episode of Star Trek The Next Generation finds Dr. Soom's clone that we're going to call Brent Spiner because fuck you too, Star Trek Discovery, and they make synths together on a safe world unknown by the secret cabal of Romulans hunting down all traces of synthetic life. Those synthetics play chess, play soccer, send diplomatic missions to the Federation, which has ruled their existence illegal, manufacture slowly floating orchids to protect their planet instead of, say, buying an apparently common world-enveloping force field, and create a Deus Ex Machina tool. How can 2 bachelors create an idyllic society of aimlessly wandering synths who create Deus Ex Machina tools while an entire society of Romulans can barely afford swords to murder each other with and a world-enveloping force field? Sorry, a second-hand world-enveloping force field. I presume the innate superiority of the human race, a degree in cybernetics, or perhaps the series' belief in the unique and indomitable power of white men to succeed in the face of adversity. I doubt Star Trek Picard is pushing a white supremacist agenda, and I'm certainly not, but they haven't given us any other option for why 2 societies with no support from the Federation turned out so differently. Perhaps it was the cheap labor from the machines, at which point we're not so explicitly about white supremacist ideology per se, just the slavery portions of it. Bruce Maddox decides to investigate the synth ban, but Brent Spiner thinks it's too dangerous, so Maddox leaves and creates a new lab on a different world. So not only are they surviving better, they're literally creating successful colonies. He also has to have taken, he has to have taken 2 active thinking synths with him from the synth commune world, because those 2 become Daj and Soji and have subconscious memories of being assembled on the synth commune world. A world with 2 red moons, outside forest, and constant thunderstorms that, when we finally get there, has 1 storm over 3 days and is also a desert. But whatever. Anyway, Maddox decides to investigate the synth ban by using synths. I guess when you're a cyberneticist who can make life like androids, every hammer is a fuckable Terminator, or however that saying goes. So Maddox hacks the Federation Social Security Office on Regulus or whatever, and these aren't my whatevers. They are Star Trek Picard's whatevers, and creates identities and certifications for Daj and Soji, and also contiguous memories of their lives through the age of 20 and paraphernalia to go with those lives, and He sends Dodge to Earth, the capital of the synthetic banning federation, who views all synthetics as murder machines, and Soji to a slightly less dangerous broken Borg cube swarming with Romulans and no ostensible connection to the synth ban. Because I guess the scientific method requires that even solving mysteries has a control group, I guess. The mission of both women is complicated somewhat, as their presumed pre-existing personalities and knowledge of their missions has been completely overwritten with memories of eating their own boogers when they were 4. The secret cabal of Romulans then find Maddox's base, somehow, liquefy it, fail to catch him, somehow, learn where the 2 synths are, and set our story into motion. And our other characters. Okay, alright, Agnes Girardi is a cyberneticist who was pulled from Starfleet by Bruce Maddox, and they banged a bit before the android band, and despite being, according to the fuck math, at least 35, she's just incredibly green. We admire her positivity, but there's no strength underlying her softness of character, so she's just kind of contemptible. And as a representative of Earth's civilian population, the assumption that a pacifist, educated future must go hand in hand with ignorance and naivete is cynical enough that it makes me want to foam at the mouth and almost die. So as our token millennial, Girardi is both deeply insulting and a big goddamn mood. Elnor is a Romulan murder mock, and he's our token Gen Z. Elnor, aka Star Trek Legolas, is both emotionally open to the extreme, ready to kill at any moment, and constantly feeling betrayed and controlled by the resident boomer he's learning not to idolize. So no matter what else I say about this series, I think they nailed that one. He's also played by Ivan Ivagora, who is a snack. And while I realize is a snack for demographic X was on the casting sheet for all of these motherfuckers, I mean, they nailed this snack for depressed gay bastards demographic. In the snack for sad housewives, but sad in a situational irony kind of way, actor, we got Cristobal Rios, who... this dude... I mean, Santiago Cabrera is a talented actor, but this character, Cabrera does a wide range of acting, and he executes well on the darkest, most haunted of character in a cast of dark, haunted characters without somehow blowing his own brains out. Which brings us to his character. Oh, it's those little guys. And they're in a pool. I want those guys. And they're kind of isolated. And they're not going to wander off deeper into lava, probably. Okay, I wanted to get one of these guys. I'm sorry. I think they're called stalkers or skulkers or squeakers or smackers or something. I'm going to go back. I'm going to get my saddle and my fishing pole. Goddamn gas. My fishing pole with weird mushrooms on it. And I'm going to come back. Right. So his character, years ago, he was a Starfleet officer when his captain met another ship. The folks on the ship were sent from the synth commune planet. Starfleet Command gave the captain secret orders to kill both of the folks on the ship, or else they would destroy the captain's ship, his crew, and his dog, probably. Instead of going, what the fuck, and calling Starfleet Whistleblowers Hotline for the Federation Council or the Federation News Service, or just going full insurrection because those first 2 options require the Federation having either a political landscape or a functioning society, the captain obeys so fast, even the ghosts of the synth slaves of Mars are like, damn son, exert some fucking autonomy. So after the captain ices 2 dinner guests in cold blood, Star Trek, our protagonist Rios gives his CO what I can only describe as a Hannibal Lecter speech that drives him to commit suicide. Out of just pure shame, I guess. Then Starfleet covers the whole thing up, and Rios realizes that the society upon which this allegedly nuanced and realistic story sits has no political or cultural texture at all, and quits Starfleet. Yeah, me too, buddy. Quits Starfleet so that he can focus full-time on brooding while finishing his degree in alcoholism. I mean, granted, I think the entire crew... I have no idea where my fungus fishing pole and saddle are. This entire crew might as well just be a study group for a 400 level of a class in alcoholism. But let's move on to our last dark, haunted person who doesn't realize that the artisanal alcohol they constantly drink is infinitely more expensive than the free therapy in the futuristic utopia they call home. 7 of 9. 7 of 9 left Voyager, became Annika Hansen, fucked sexy Jabba the Hutt until sexy Jabba the Hutt betrayed Annika and killed Icheb, a fellow ex-Borg and son figure to Annika, who you'd know if you watched Voyager with more fucking tenacity than I did. So Annika became 7 of 9 again, joined the Fenris Rangers, badass, affected a deep and gravelly voice, and swore to hunt down sexy Jabba the Hutt, who isn't really named Sexy Jabba the Hutt, but whose real name is stupider than Sexy Jabba the Hutt, so that's what we're calling her. Rafi, Picard's former assistant and analyst who was so good she looked at this whole situation and immediately pegged who was responsible and was eventually drummed out of Starfleet for gross competence, execution of duty, and situational awareness. She does space weed instead of drinking, but also drinks because this show knows like 2 maladaptive coping mechanisms, and we haven't even gotten to the part where Agnes fucks Rios yet. With all of our pieces in place, I can barely summon energy to keep going. I feel like I should just say, then Daj explodes and the blast propels Picard into accidentally unraveling all of this while looking for Soji. The end. But, inevitably, Star Trek Picard begins. Daj is on Earth, not investigating shit about the synth ban after ostensibly being deployed to do so 37 months ago. Somehow, her mission ends with her getting revealed as an android and being killed. The kind of thing that one expects of putting an android whose life is forfeit into the polis which created the synthetic life is forfeit law. What she does manage to do is contact an allowed to exist under the law, albeit just for now, organic life form who is sympathetic to synthetics existing and has the ability and willingness to investigate the synth ban and a high enough profile to gather others to his cause. I mean, I feel like Bruce Maddox could have just written Jean-Luc Picard a letter instead of hacking Federation databases, building a second highly advanced cybernetics log out of oak planks, iron ore, and a smelter, or creating fucking life with more abandon than Victor fucking Frankenstein. But then, I get writer's block too when I write emails. Soji is the one assigned to the Borg Cube as an attaché to a Federation mission to a project run by Romulans, a role that ostensibly doesn't require any background checks, so rigorous that Ross from Friends can't fake a fucking clean result. So this is where Soji begins getting railed by Neral, who is Spock when viewed through a Matryoshka doll of teen heartthrob Instagram filters. Within the context of our story, Neral is a Tal Shiar spy whose spying missions are hampered somewhat by the fact that his name tag says Neral, Tal Shiar oppressor. Part of Neral's plan to be Soji's big spoon is that... Well, let's keep happening. Okay, there we go. Is that he's going to interpret her dreams to learn where she was made. His English not being good enough to decipher the words made in Coppelia stamped onto the bottom of her right foot. Neral's secondary mission is to fend off the amorous advances of his sister, Cersei Lannister by way of Romulus, who has all the espionage skills of Cobra Commander wearing a ghillie suit made of Christmas bells and red flags. She trains her men to have the combat skills of a thug curious about what's written on the back of Chuck Norris's boots, so she's just top-notch, you guys. I mean, Neral's plan seems stupid, but it does have the benefit of not surrounding an android with easily defeated thugs, therefore forcing her into her easily defeat thugs mode, a plan which already failed on Daj, but which Cersei seems happy to repeat over and over again until it succeeds, which I assume is why we never see Cersei in a goddamn casino. Male thugs and an apparently all-woman cabal of super-secret spies keeping a 1,000-year secret being apparently the kind of thing that you can just acquire and dispose of pretty easily. Anyway, Neral's plan of dream analysis works, and Soji is so lifelike because she does dream and has a subconscious filled with the suppressed memories from her personality that maybe agreed to go with Maddox to his new base, possibly agreed to go on this mission, and hopefully agreed to have her personality overwritten. Thereby erasing her existence utterly and, like emptying your desktop recycle bin. I mean, oh wow, these guys are really slow. Oh, I fucking hate it. Look, I just want it for the collectability. I mean, there might be a situation in the Nether where I would need to deploy one of these little dudes. God, it's really slow. And he makes sad, he loves being on lava. So he's really sad and blue and he shivers when he's not on lava. But look, man, like the lava lakes are not contiguous, okay? And if I don't put this fishing pole in front of you, you aren't going to listen to me. I'm glad he has his own health level, though. He got decent health. I didn't expect decent health from a guy that small. Anyway, So Maddox overwrites her personality, gives her a new one. I mean, in Total Recall, okay? Even Captain Jellicoe let Arnold record a message to himself so that he could end his undercover mind wipe mission. And maybe it's shit like that, which is the reason that Agnes Girardi gets to ride off with the rest of our crew as a free woman at the end of the season, instead of doing hard time for her premeditated murder of Bruce Maddox. I guess I'd rather the legal defense of he was kind of a creep over no one gives a shit about consequences which are inconvenient to our story. So anyway, Soji's subconscious gives her the memory of looking out of a window during her creation, seeing a planet with 2 red moons and violent storms, which looks nothing like the synthetic commune planet that vision leads us to, but whatever, is apparently enough that Neural instantly throws the switch on the easily deactivated death trap. Of course there's an easily deactivated death trap. Cersei starts shit with the ex-Borg civilian scientists in the Borg cube for no damned reason, and the secret cabal within the Tal Shiar, which is an intelligence arm of the broken and defeated Romulan Empire, which is flogging Borg tibia for spare change, powers up their fleet of 200 warships and heads for this world. Picard, meanwhile, handcuffs himself to Soji, who saves herself with the help of her friends. They eat some pizzas with the Riker Troys before learning that a question on last night's episode of Jeopardy was about a planet with 2 moons. And that has some storms. And so everyone is racing to the end of the story as fast as they can, but it's not bloody fast enough for my fucking taste. And then we get to the end of the story, which is worse than all of this combined. But still worse for the fact that... Look, when Picard says, "Up to your ass and Romulans," you die a little inside. Patrick Stewart's a good actor, but he's usually given good material. There is some stuff in Stewart's repertoire that does fail to impress. It happens to the best. I mean, it happens to Patrick Stewart, QED. But when Riker says, "I'm on the bridge of the fastest, toughest, most powerful starship that Starfleet has ever put into service." Let me pull up my notes and give you a direct quote so you don't think I'm just like, "I'm on the bridge of the toughest, fastest, most powerful starship Starfleet has ever put into service." And it sounds exactly as awful as it looks on the page. My morale is shattered. This show has beaten me. There are 5 lights to Star Trek Picard. Please make it stop. And that's because I tout Frakes as being able to spin straw into gold, as being able to make the worst dialogue, and he gets a lot of bad stuff from Star Trek, into something believable, incredible. Either Frakes has lost his touch, and we are served with a harsh reminder of the inevitable decline and death that will come for all of us, or this dialogue is still steaming from when the stray dog in East LA shattered onto the script. I know the ship is named the Zheng-He, but it might as well be named the SS more powerful than Superman, Batman, Spider-Man, and the Incredible Hulk put together. And I mean referencing Family Guy's concept of a stupid guy's concept of elegant expressions of virtue is probably the right note to end this on. Until next time, keep learning and keep asking questions.